If you could go back in time and you could either vote for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, who would you rather vote for?
Donald Trump.
Okay, why so?
Um, I'm definitely anti-illegal immigration and I'm anti-abortion. Those are my two main issues.
Anti-immigration and anti-abortion?
Anti-illegal immigration.
Okay. We'll talk about immigration first. What's specifically bad about undocumented immigrants getting a pathway to citizenship if they've not committed a violent crime or bad crime where they don't have to leave the country? What's wrong with that?
Can you ask the question one more time?
Yeah, what's wrong with undocumented immigrants getting a pathway to citizenship if they've not committed a violent crime or a bad crime where they do not have to leave the country?
Well, I think that's a fair question. Um, are you saying that they're not? Are you asking that because you think they're not being given that?
Well, I think that they should not be. I think that they should be given a pathway to citizenship if they have not committed a violent crime or bad crime. If they where they do not have to leave the country, they are currently not being given that option. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I would say there's so many people trying to come legally who are waiting in line, and when people are cutting in line, it makes it more difficult because we have, so many people are trying to come into our country, and when you have entered the country legally, that from that point forward is a crime, and so we need to have a better way of sorting between this, is what I would say.
Okay, a few things here. They're not cutting in line because it is the case that they never went in line in the very first place. So they're not even going into the line. Okay, if it was the case that they were going through the legal immigration process, they would be going into the line. So it would be backing up the line even longer. So what they've done actually does not make the line take longer. The reason why the line is taking so long is because the Republicans have put artificial barriers in place to limit people from being able to legally get into the country as quick as they possibly should be. And then for crime, undocumented immigrants commit multiple times lower rates of violent crime and property crime in the United States comparative to natural born U.S. citizens. And them coming to the country, yes, it is a misdemeanor if they come here undocumented, but I don't think that they should be punished given that they've committed a violent crime or bad crime. There are so many different laws on the books that are not enforced. Like, for example, we're on an app right now that's banned by the government, but it's not being enforced to be banned, right? So, I mean, like, there's not really an issue with that, right?
Sorry, my connection. Can issue with what?
Yeah, so again, right now we're on an app that's currently banned and illegal, but it's not being enforced. So there are lots of laws on the books that don't get enforced, given that they don't affect the safety and security of our country, right? So this is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's like, I mean, people have been deported under multiple administrations. Like Obama deported a lot of people. Biden, obviously, I guess, deported people too. Like it's one of those things that there are things that aren't enforced, but it's like just because other things aren't enforced, I think immigration is a pretty important thing that needs to be protected in our country. And so, I mean, I'm for people coming in and going through the right process and getting in, but people who have come illegally, it's not even one of these like political things. It's like I just feel like it's just like if you come here legally, you got to get out, and then you can come back in if you do it the right way. But it's just we have laws. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't an issue for the president of the United States to have been a convicted felon. You still voted for him. He literally incited a violent insurrection at the Capitol, pardoned the violent rioters who
But
beat
it
police officers, called them patriots, right? And that was totally okay with you, right? You're still willing to vote
well,
for him.
it's
But
not a,
undocumented
but it's not
immigrants coming to the
illegal.
country for a better life, who have not harmed the safety and the security of this nation, then the law should be enforced in that context.
Well, well, when it comes to the law, it's not illegal to be a felon and be president. Number one. So that's the biggest difference there.
I
I
never said
didn't.
it's illegal, but you're willing to allow someone to be president, given that they did something illegal, right? But you're not allowing someone to specifically become a citizen of the country because they've done something illegal.
Well, it was an illegal act to enter the country. I don't understand what you're trying to say.
So I understand, but no one really gives a shit. It's a misdemeanor. It's not a harm to our country. If they haven't committed a violent crime or bad crime, who gives a fuck?
Well, you might
Our
not give
legal
it.
think about it this way. Our legal process, if they went through the legal process, would not have restricted them from coming to the country. The only reason they didn't go through said legal process is because it takes too long to go through said legal process. So if we provided a quicker legal process, it would incentivize them to go through the legal process, and it would be the case that then we wouldn't have so many people coming to the country undocumented.
Okay. Well, it it might take too long for them, but for the people, there are people who come in every year where I guess it didn't take too long enough for them because they did come in the right way. So I guess that's subjective.
So again, it depends on the individual, but it takes on average years to get into the country, and some people will wait, but they shouldn't have to.
All right, okay. Are you thinking that? Because I'm just confused. Like most people coming into America, are you saying they're coming in illegally because they're fleeing from like Mexico or like their country of origin? Is that like what you're thinking? Like they're taking refuge basically?
Sometimes it depends. That's the asylum process.
Because it's like I think that there should be other countries. Like the problem is we have such an influx of uh I think it's the problem too is that it's a strain on the taxpayers because it's we're having to there's a lot of these people coming in where they could have gone to another country other than the United States. Like a lot of people are passing different South American countries before they come here, and it can be a strain on the taxpayer because we're paying for these people.
Strain on the taxpayer. They pay more into our systems than they're going to be taking out of it.
What do
Undocumented
you
immigrants
mean?
are going to be paying for our Social Security and for our Medicare, right? You understand that
Well, the
if
ones
we do
that do
not have
pay
immigration,
taxes.
it is the case by 2032 we are going to have insolvency of Social Security and Medicare, which will lead to a reduction in benefits by 20% plus. Okay?
Where
So
did
if
you
we do
track
not
that
have
data from?
immigration, that will happen. Immigration will literally lead to us being able to continue and maintain those programs. If we do not have immigration, we will not be able to continue and maintain them. Meaning immigrants are going to be taking care of us, not the other way around.
But that's only the immigrants that or the illegal immigrants that are paying taxes.
No, this is
There's not
immigrants as a
there's
whole.
Oh, you're talking about immigrants as a whole?
Yeah.
Well, I want immigrants to come in, just not illegal immigrants. So that's leaving out the chunk.
You mean
There are legal
undocumented. So
immigrants.
if you provided a quicker legal process, you'd think it's good. So if you just provide a legal pathway for everyone in the country undocumented, wouldn't that be better?
Well, doesn't Trump do that with the gold card
No.
or whatever it is?
No, that's
The
$5
gold
million.
card?
No one can afford that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, no. I mean, I do you really think we need that many more people in our country?
Yes.
Like, do you think it's a thing where
Absolutely.
we need
Yep.
why?
I just told you we're gonna have insolvency of Social Security and Medicare by 2032, according to the big beautiful bill was passed. Right? If it is the case that we do not have increased levels of immigration to increase the level of
Insolvent.
tax revenues, that's just a
What is
reality.
insolvency meaning? We're not going to have enough money for
Yeah,
Medicare,
to run the same level of benefits in the program. So we're gonna have to cut benefits by like 20% plus
is that because? And what would the reason be because of that?
because we don't have enough funding. Our population, so we have a greater level of people who are older, living for a longer period of time, comparative to the younger
Right.
population that is paying into the system. Because we have had a low birth rate for like the past like 50 years.
Yeah, that's a problem we need to address. I think we aren't having enough kids for sure. So you're saying, oh, okay, I see more what you're saying now. So you're saying these people who are coming in are having more children. Is that kind of what you're saying? Like these people are going to be having more children, therefore it's going to make our
No, they're
country
going to be
grow
coming to our
jobs.
country and they're going to be working. But sure, they will also have children. But like, it's not just them having children; it's them just coming to the country. Like they're going to
But
be working.
don't we already have like millions of jobs open for like in our country? Like I didn't think it was this situation where we have like a deficit where like we need more people, we need more jobs. I thought
We
there's
do.
so
We
many
need more.
open
We need more
jobs.
people. We need more tax revenue into our system. They will pay taxes into our system.
Well, but how can they pay taxes if they're not being tracked, some of them? Like we don't even know where these people are because they don't have.
We provide them a legal pathway to citizenship where they do not have to leave the country. And people already who are undocumented in the country pay like $100 billion in taxes per year, right through ITINs.
Right. Well, I mean, I have to look into that more with the the data you're providing, the 2032. I don't know exactly where is that information coming from. Is it like Department of? I don't know where that's coming from. But I have to
Congressional
look
Budget
at it.
Office.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, but do you disagree? Do you disagree? So you disagree that because it's not just our country that deports like illegal immigrants. You think that that's wrong? That like ICE is going after people and deporting them? I just don't understand like why
Yeah, they're
that's
deporting
wrong.
people without due process. They're literally like ripping people out of their communities who are just there, literally benefiting their communities and working. And they're not identifying themselves. They're not using warrants.
Do
They're
you think
covering
if
their
we
faces like they're the
do you
fucking
think if
secret police Gestapo.
well that's not is that illegal to do that to
In
cover your
California
face
now it is. They're also racially profiling. Like
racially profile
that's what they've said themselves. They said themselves that they're racially profiling people,
meaning like they're only going after Mexican people.
meaning that they're disproportionately doing so, and they're specifically using that as a justification to go after people. Yes.
Okay. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Do you think if we, because here's what I've heard before from like a supply and demand argument. Like we have an X amount of money that is going out to these people who are illegal immigrants working these jobs. If you remove those immigrants, wouldn't it then allow more money to go to the people working those jobs that are actual citizens? And wouldn't people actually make more money? Like citizens who have been here, we take those jobs away and then they go towards Americans. Wouldn't people make more money in turn? If we were wanting people to have higher wages, wouldn't that be how it works? Or is there like what's your stance on that?
No. We actually will have more jobs that will be created by there being more people within our economy demanding goods and services, which will create higher upward pressure on the wages as well. It creates our economy to be more productive. There's more trade going on with our economy, which creates more efficient trades. There's more people that you can engage in a trade with. There's more likelihood that you're going to have someone within that context have a more efficient trade with you, essentially where you will profit more or get more value out of it subjectively. They'll get more value out of it subjectively because there's more people.
Right.
Like if you're a big city
Um,
with a lot of people to trade with,
yeah.
it's more likely that you're going to get a better trade than if you're a small city with not as many people to trade with.
So, question: if the Trump administration, like, it sounds like you're having a problem with how long it takes for these people to come in. You're like, well, it's unreasonable for them to wait because they're here, they're already doing a job, and if they got deported, it would take them years to come back, and then it
It's
would
just extremely
it would
costly
mess
for
up
no
the
reason.
mess.
It's extremely costly
So
for no reason.
so you think right? So you're not even. So if it was the thing where it's like they went out and they came back and then like a month they came back and started doing and they just got their. What you're saying is
They
you just
shouldn't have to
want them
leave.
to be.
There's no reason for them
They
to
shouldn't
leave.
have to
They
leave.
should just be allowed to stay in the country and be given a pathway to citizenship. That incentivizes the most amount of people who are in the country undocumented to stay and to identify themselves to authorities. That's the
But
best
wouldn't we
way
have
for
to
them
change?
and the best way for us.
Right, but wouldn't we have to change the law then? Because like the law doesn't the law say like we have to deport people who come in
So
illegally, or is that not what the law
we could
says?
just choose not to enforce the law in certain contexts. Like for example, right? The law right now says that TikTok is banned. Are
In the
we
United
enforce
States,
are yes, are we enforcing said law?
obviously no.
No, we're currently right now talking on TikTok. So
Yeah.
the point that I'm making is that just because the law is on the books doesn't necessarily mean that we need to enforce it, and we can enforce it in the connotation in which I'm advocating for. And I think that's how we should enforce it.
Um. Yeah, and well, I'm just trying to figure out. I would say though, like having enforcing immigration versus enforcing an app, there is a little bit of a difference in that. I would say, but I do understand what you're saying. You would probably agree too. Like there is a little bit of a difference between like using TikTok versus like not choosing to follow our immigration laws. That's my
Well, obviously
argument.
there are different laws, but there's still the law in of itself. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Right.
point that you were bringing up that
Yeah.
was relevant was that it's the law. Well, not necessarily.
Yeah, but we could be talking on Instagram or whatever like else as well. But I do see what you're saying. Um,
Yeah, I guess we
So
could be, but we're
what?
not doing that right now.
Right, but so what you're advocating for is,
Instagram lives are ass, bro. I went on there when TikTok did get banned, and the conversations were like 380p.
bro. I don't know if you remember. I talked to you like forever. It was you and Parker. I talked to you guys forever ago. It was like we were talking about the Ukraine war thing. It was like a long time ago, but
Really? Like how long ago?
um, it was probably, I think it was like November or December of last year, and like we were talking about that. But
So
yeah,
why haven't you changed your mind?
what's that?
Why haven't I changed your mind
On what issues?
on your support for Trump?
Because I'm still not convinced that
And wait,
what
can you tell
he's
me who I
doing
was
is
with, by the
entirely.
way?
You're with Parker. Or
I
sorry, you're with Dean.
I
You're
was
with
with
Dean. You're with
Parker.
Dean. Yeah, you're with Parker. Yeah, you were with Dean Withers. He joined in, and no, I mean I'm avidly against abortion, and it's because it is it's one of the main issues, and I'm against illegal immigration. Again, I'm for immigration legally. But I guess I think what it is yes, there are different laws that aren't being enforced. Like you said, this TikTok. And for what is the reason behind that? I'm kind of confused. Like, what's the reason? How is that possible?
They're
That
essentially
we're
trying to
able
get
to
a
use
deal
it.
out of it. They're trying to get a deal out of it.
Okay. Well, it's like I feel like immigration is a very significant thing that needs to be, like, to just not follow that is, I mean, I think is very, not
Okay.
wise is what I would say.
I think it's not wise to vote in someone convicted, who's a convicted felon, held civilly liable of pardoned violent rioters, who police officers on January 6th and called them patriots. I think that's pretty big of an issue in terms of incentivizing crime.
Well, I would argue that you're voting for somebody who, just to transition to the abortion thing, is responsible. She wants women to be able to continue to get tens of millions of babies every year. So that's what I would
Tens of
say in
millions
response to
of
that.
babies every year? Where did you get that number from?
Well, how many
What?
babies are aborted every? How many babies are
Not
aborted
tens of
every year?
millions in the U.S. Not tens of
How
millions.
much is it? It's
Not even
millions.
close.
It's millions. It's
I think it's.
millions probably.
I think it's a bit over a million, and it's increased since.
Okay.
It's increased since the overturning of Roe versus Wade, and so is maternal mortality. So actually, more people are every single year now, comparative to when Roe versus Wade was overturned, like prior to that.
What is that? What is that supposed to mean?
That means that abortion rates have gone up since you overturned Roe versus Wade.
Okay. Well,
And
that
I mean,
just
do you have an
means that
issue
the
with
states.
IVF,
What's that again?
in vitro fertilization? Like they will, per patient, discard a lot of zygotes and embryos, which under your view might be people.
Discard. Oh, is that where you like? Is that where you? Oh, I know what that you're talking about. Actually, they do what?
They
They go
discard a
through
bunch of
someone's
zygotes and
zygotes and
embryos, dude.
discard it.
They discard them.
I think it's wasteful because I guess it's a fertilized egg at that point.
Okay. Do you think it's a person?
Scientifically, yes, because
So you
life
think that
begins
they're
at
just
conception.
so there's more people discarded through
Do
the
you wait? Do you
context of
disagree?
IVF than
Do
under
you
your view?
disagree that it? Do you disagree that it's a person?
Absolutely.
But science would disagree with you.
No, it wouldn't. Science doesn't determine personhood. I don't disagree that life begins at conception. What I disagree with
Wait, but
is
okay? Hold up. But but life begins at conception. What kind of life is it? It's human life. That's what the DNA tells us.
it's cellular human life. Yes. We don't value cellular human life as personhood. We value medical subjective life, subjective experience, I mean.
So I've heard you talk about a lot about like sentience with like babies and stuff. And it's like they don't have brain waves, they don't have any past or future like experiences, blah 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 blah. Well then my question to you, I'm gonna do a little gotcha question, is if someone killed you in your sleep and you didn't feel pain while it happened, would it be wrong? Yes or
Yes. Past or
So
present,
if it-
present, and future subjective experience.
Right,
It's
but
not whether or
so
not
when a
I'm currently
baby was-
going through the experience. It's the fact that I've had a past or present and future subjective experience. That's the condition that I
So-
consider valuable.
Right. So
Can I give
then
you an
when you
example
killed
as
a
to why you don't
15 week,
value as
well, can I just finish? Can I
cellular
finish real
life
quick?
after? I said, can I tell you after, right?
Yeah. Oh
Example as
yeah,
to why
yeah.
you
I
don't
just
care about
couldn't hear because
cellular
I was
life.
talking.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, a 15-week-old baby, it doesn't experience the pain. That doesn't make it right. But then what about a baby, a newborn that just popped out? Then you should be able to kill it because it hasn't experienced anything yet. It doesn't know what's going on. It hasn't had any past experiences. It still would apply the same thing. And then also, when it comes to dependency, a 6-month-old baby still relies on her mother for survival. They need shelter, they need food. There's all these things that you say, well, this is why this baby doesn't matter. But you look at people on respirators, people who literally will die, they go hours without certain medical treatment. And those people should, like, are they not valuable because they are completely dependent on things? Of course not. So of course babies are still babies, and just because they're dependent on their mother inside their womb, that doesn't mean that it's okay to kill them. Also, the term "my body, my choice" is not correct because it's not your body, it's not your DNA, it's not your decision, as Charlie Kirk would say.
Oh God,
So
so
that's the way
cringe.
I'm looking at it.
Can I
Well,
respond to
it's
these?
it's
Can I
it's
can I
true
can I
though.
respond to these?
Yeah,
Can I
yeah.
respond to these?
Respond to all of them. Yeah.
So a newborn baby has subjective experiences. That's the reality, right? You can't say it doesn't have subjective experiences. Subjective experience starts around 20 through 24 weeks within the context of the womb. Okay. Secondly, as it relates to this, my body, my choice. That is just the common conversation that people are saying is that they're essentially arguing that it's their bodily autonomy. It is their body. It absolutely is their body. And especially since like we're talking about the scenario where it's their uterus and they're pregnant and we're determining whether or not they should have a right to end the said pregnancy. So it is their body and it is their choice. And you're trying to restrict that because you think that
Yes, I
there's a
am.
valuable life, but there's not a valuable life because
It's
it's
crazy that
literally
you.
a zygote or an embryo. And let me go through this real quick. So, a few things here.
Yeah.
You say that it's valuable because of cellular life. I say that's wrong. Do you think it's pull the plug on an individual in your family that's
Yeah.
so everyone in the chat who specifically pulled the plug on an individual in their family that's you're saying that there are should go to prison?
Well, I mean, if the person, yes, I mean, if the person is still has a
So
capability of waking
doctors,
up,
and
yeah,
people in the chat, type me in the comment section right now if you've pulled the plug on an individual in your family that's anyone who is right. If you're a doctor or a nurse or someone who's in the medical
But
field,
wait, hold up. There's
you're
a
saying
big
all of
difference
these
here. Now
people
that
are should go to prison? Are you kidding me?
let me think about this, because a person who's there's no possibility of them waking up, then that's different against a person who's growing inside their mother's womb.
But
There's a difference there.
the point is that they're cellularly speaking alive. So if it's just cellular life that you consider the basis for value, well, then you would say that it's murder and that they should go to prison for that. You obviously don't think that. So what does it tell us? It tells us that we don't just value cellular life as personhood. We value subjective experience or medical life. What is medical life? Medical life is when it meets the point in which it can produce a subjective experience. Does that mean you can remember everything? No. It just means that you have a subjective experience. You're conceptualizing of the world around you. It does not mean that you remember it. So yes, you're right. Newborn babies do not remember things, but remembering things or not is not the basis for you having an experience, right? I'm elevated all the time. There's a lot I forget, but I still had an experience of it.